there's a third position, and that is am I right, third? A third position, well, I'm thinking, do I have 5? There's a third position, that's post-trib.
Right.
Meaning that after the tribulation, in other words, the church is going to go through this, the church is going to go through this, and after this is over, all 7 years, then the rapture is going to take place, and we're going to be taken up. And the church is going to go through all of the time of the tribulation period. And then, of course, the position that we hold to is not none, is not mid or post, but it's what? That before any of this 7-year period, 3.5, before any of this starts over here, the church is going to be caught up together. Rapture. Caught up together to be with the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. And I know I was thinking of 5 different positions. I can't think what the other one is right now. Now listen, the post-trib position puts the rapture at the same time as the second coming. Now let me tell you one reason, and this is a very light reason, but let me tell you one reason why we know that it's not true. There is nowhere in the Bible, nowhere, that talks about the second coming and the rapture in like one verse or a passage, because that they are kind of like connected together, happening at the same time. There's nowhere in the Bible that speaks to any of that. Anytime in the Bible it talks about the second coming, it's only about the second coming. Never about also the rapture happening at the same time. And remember, the second coming is not the rapture. The second coming is the what? The revelation. The second coming is going to happen after that 3.5 years, and after this 3.5 years, when the Lord does come back and descend back all the way down to the earth. And it's the second coming. Revelation 1:7, every eye shall see him. But over here, we're talking about a pre-tribulational rapture, where before the tribulation period even begins to start. Do you guys have a doctrinal statement here with your church? We have a doctrinal statement as well. And most churches like this one and mine, and what you would call Bible believing and fundamental and Baptistic, all of that, and maybe evangelical churches, in their doctrinal statement, they will say we are both premillennial and we are pre-tribulational. Premillennial means what? Pre means before, of course. Premillennial. When the Lord comes back at the second coming, there's going to be a 1,000-year reign of Christ on the earth. 1,000 means is a millennium. 1,000 years. Pre means Christ is coming back before that 1,000 years, and then he's going to rule and reign on the earth during that 1,000 years. So we believe in a premillennial return of Christ. Now, there are those out there that believe in a postmillennial, meaning that there's going to be this tribulation, if you will, then there's going to be this 1,000-year reign, or this 1,000-year period of time where there's going to be a kingdom, and then the Lord's going to come back at the end of that, and what he's going to do, I don't even know what they suggest. But there are people today, theologically, in the realm of Christianity, that believes that actually there's some who believe we're in the kingdom right now, because they've got to somehow start that 1,000 years somewhere, and then for 1,000 years what they suggest is that man is making his world better. You know, through social efforts and building houses and feeding the poor and, all of that kind of stuff. We are bringing in the kingdom, and we are working out the kingdom. And so we got this 1,000 years of utopia, developing utopia on the world with man's interaction with each other and becoming better, some kind of evolutionary thing, I suppose. But then at the end of the 1,000 years, then the Lord returns and comes back. Well, the Bible teaches the Lord comes back before the 1,000 years. Amen. And there cannot be a king. Let me tell you, folks, if this is the best God can do out here right now, then I think we're lacking here. I got news for you. The Lord can do a lot better than what we got out here. Hallelujah. And so, premillennial, and then, of course, pre-tribulational. Here's what you hear. When you talk about the pre-tribulational rapture of the church, forever, these things have been debated. They have been the points of contention and argument, sometimes even division, all this kind of stuff. And that's fine, that's fair. That's going to happen. But here's what you'll hear people say. I want to show you something out of 2 Thessalonians tonight. Here's what you're going to hear people say And you know, I think they mean well. Folks will come along and they say, well, you know, this thing about the rapture and when it takes place and all of that, you know, that's not a major, that's a minor. That's not something that we ought to really be totally so concerned about and to draw lines of division about that. Now, let's just be nice to each other about it and let's be gracious. And again, on the surface, that might sound okay, but let me tell you tonight, folks, that is not okay.
Amen.
Because when you're talking about the coming of Christ for the millennial kingdom, and when you're talking about the coming of Christ for the body of church, for the body of Christ with the church, which Paul calls his coming for us the blessed hope, Paul and Christ both had so much to say about these matters, and they were so important to the Lord. And